Thank you, Dave the Sage. Had my pre-show set up, ready to go. Didn't turn it off pre-show. Anyway, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. So glad to be hosting another great week and another great show. That's right, Dave. Sorry, we're getting it together here. We're getting it together, Dave. Anyway, it's March 10th, 2025. The point of the whole day is to get off here on a Monday and have another good week of shows, education, and entertainment. This is normally when I would introduce Pedro, my co-host here, but Pedro is just finishing up some stuff in the background. He'll be with us in just a minute. But thanks, Dave the Sage, for mentioning that I was still in studio mode. Anyway. As I said, it's March 10th. It's been about 2 months, January, February. Yeah, it's been about 2.5 months since the new year has started, and the drawdown of the crypto market has happened. And the BTC meltdown has happened, or is happening, not surprisingly, according to Pedro over here. But the altcoin markets, we never had an altcoin run here, and now the altcoins are nearing zero. Okay, they're not nearing zero, but they are down a lot. And so the meltdown has continued for the past some time. But are we at the bottom? Are we at the bottom? Is it time for more doom and gloom? Or is this time for launch mode? Are we going to do a SpaceX and launch a Tesla Roadster out into orbit around the sun here? Or are we going to be lackluster for a while? So always good stuff to talk about. Market's always second-guessing itself. I'm always second-guessing myself. But the man who is not second-guessing himself is the man who is eating lunch on TV once again, my co-host, Pedro Garcia. Pedro, what's happening?
Not much, man.
You're good. I don't know what you did to your mic, but I can hear you, but... It sounds like you're using a mic across the room.
Oh, better. Yeah, I forgot it was right here. Yeah, it happens. Sorry.
That's all right. I started the show with my mic off too, and Dave the Sage had to remind me that it was off.
What's up, Dave? Is Dave the Sage a new guy?
Dave, how did you find us, Dave?
Yeah, man.
Appreciate
Where are you
it.
coming from? Where are you coming from?
Anyway, this is DYOR Live here. We've been doing the show about 2 years. We are trying to boost up the viewerships. We're in a lull right now as the market swoons, as typically. And so if you could share this with some of your friends or Telegram rooms, we'd appreciate it. But anyway, Pedro, we were talking about well, I was talking to myself because nobody was listening about that never happens on this show, Dave. We never have technical difficulties.
That is, if there's one thing you can guarantee on here,
right?
Guarantee, it would be technical difficulties.
Well, great. We got a YouTube recommendation out of that one. That's always good to know. Anyway, Pedro, and for you viewers on Rumble, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Just a quick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, go ahead to give him the social media rundown.
All right, that's what I thought you were. You're like Pedro, and I was like, oh. All right, so let's jump right in. Hey guys, if you could do us a quick favor, and as Tom is taking care of some stuff in relationship to what he does, while I during this time tell you and ask you and implore you and beg you, so it can make it worth my while to do this and keep doing it. Please hit the like, subscribe button, and share button. We're going to go over some major stuff in the economy. I'm going to look at it from a trader standpoint. And I found out that I'm like 2% of the world population of traders, that you, like a consistent trader, a profitable trader. And I was like kind of shocked. I was like, because I thought it was like more like 20%, 15, 20%, but it's like 2%. And then, and so if you could just make it really worth us and just hit that like and subscribe and share button. Again, we're going to talk about some really interesting stuff here today. It is not going to help our algorithm. Absolutely will not. But it needs to be talked about because I want you guys to understand where the market is going, what is actually happening, and more importantly, be able to profit on it in relationship to what we're going to look at. So it's going to be really fun. So again, please hit the like, subscribe, and for the love of God, share button. And then click on that share button. That was the other thing I found out. You want to click on that share button, which you share, because that helps the algorithm.
It does. It does. Whether you're on Rumble or on YouTube.
Yeah.
Hit that share button.
Yeah, it does. I remember looking at that, and then you told me about that, Tom. And then I saw it actually in action. I was like, oh wow, that thing got up and going. So again, thank you, Sage or Dave the Sage. Appreciate you coming and watching us. We're about to go into the market in BTC. Boom. Here we go. Playing the market. It is looking hot to trot. Remember, we talked about here last Monday with all the hoopla and everything that was going on in the traditional markets, correlating with the Bitcoin situation, along with the news situation of the Bitcoin and crypto reserve, that this rally was hogwash. And I said, do not believe it. I don't trust it. And then it sold out the previous day and we saw it come down. I said, we should see it come down to these lows of 78 to that 75 and test that 73 area here. And so it gave us a tracking, which would be the 20 period moving average. We talked about how we should see it come up, tap it. We want to put our stop right around these areas here. And I did try to do it kind of some small plays for you guys, quick little trades for you. Some did well, some didn't. But either way, but our big trade was really that 28 period moving average as it catches it, and then catches the rally and then drops it like Steve Austin or Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, or a Hulk Hogan with the big old boot to the head. Either way, this thing just straight got slammed down. Now, the cool thing behind it though is on Sunday we saw it go down. On Monday we saw it come down as well. So I'm expecting us to come down into that 75 or 75 to that 73 area and then see a rebound and potentially maybe even come and tap that 8 period moving average. And we might end green for the week. So it's going to be a fun ride to see what happens. We are seeing the traditional market sell off with the S&P 500 and the 8 period and it's following, as we've talked about, the 8 period on the daily. This is the S&P 500 or the futures. And you can see here how we're playing this pretty nicely. So we're coming down into an area here. Oh, I was supposed to mark that. Boom.
I'm sorry, Pedro. What would you just switch to?
This is the S&P 500
Oh,
futures.
sorry.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're okay. I just wanted to show here because we're coming into an area here of, remember, I talked about this and we've been talking about this, where the market will, when it starts to trend, it trends off of the S&P 500. And on top of that, we've been talking about these lower levels here now for a while, and I'm expecting a flash crash, right? We've been talking to this almost at nauseum, probably since February, mid-February. I said, guys, be ready. I'm expecting it to pull down so we can get in on this. We've talked about the crude oil trade. We talked about the dollar trade. We talked about the gold trade, right? And so these are the trades that they all kind of correlate. They kind of do this. Now, they don't follow each other, but what they do is they will do this type of thing. And we watch the money kind of do this type of thing, right? And so it's kind of a circle within a circle that turns in a direction. And so it's a good way to understand how money flow happens in the market with traders. So I'm really enjoying it because the markets are moving really, to quote Trump, bigly. They're moving bigly. So right
Bigly.
now, yeah. So we're coming
Strategery. Bigly.
the treasury.
And
You know,
don't forget Justin Trudeau's moistly.
moistly,
It was disgusting when he said it. It gave everyone the creeps. Like, oh,
Well, he was crying this weekend, so I
he
mean,
cries every week.
you know,
Remember, 2 weeks from now, I predict he comes out. He's going to be pictured with Caitlyn Jenner saying that he's transitioning to a woman.
bro, he's got a cute wife though, right?
Justin, she divorced his ass 2 years ago, 3
Oh,
years ago.
did he?
Oh
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
oh yeah.
Oh,
Here she is, the first lady of the country, and she's like, "I'm out of here. This guy's cracked." That's why everyone started saying, "Oh, he's on the other team."
oh, really? Okay, okay. Well, we'll leave that alone.
Yeah,
Okay. On to the next thing. All right, we're gonna move on to the next thing here. Okay, so that opened a can of worms. Uh, so one of the things we're looking at, and I think it's really important to pay attention here, is the S&P 500. We've talked about how the S&P 500 really leads um, in regards to real trend, okay? But in regards to turnarounds and movements, I really look at, we've talked about this, the Russell 2000 as well as the NASDAQ, right? And so we're watching the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ has been actually taking control in a sense, right, of Bitcoin. And when Bitcoin or when the Nasdaq drops, we see Bitcoin also drop as well. So it's really important to understand this because the Bitcoin is one singular asset. Okay, it is a commodity, and so it is kind of the leading commodity for crypto. So when crypto goes, when Bitcoin goes down, it takes pretty much all that commodity called cryptocurrency and it should direct the actual movement of the market. Ooh, excuse me. Let me take this off here real quick. Um, and so it's one of those things that we're seeing in the market right now where the I keep saying the when the Nasdaq drops, we see Bitcoin drop. Hence, then we see everything else drop. Now, it's important to understand. Many of you guys know that in this show, we talk a lot about the Magnificent Seven. You see during Technical Tuesday, some of the stuff we always go over is Nvidia. We go over Google, Amazon, Apple, right? Tesla. Excuse me. I'm gonna burp. I am so sorry. I'm having. Bro, forgive me.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ooh, I'm so sorry. I am like, my gut is like, it's good. I did some stuff this morning thinking it would just flush through, and it's just acting a little weird. I'm so sorry. It's TMI. Forgive me. I hope you are entertained. Are you
yeah,
not
this is
entertained?
the entertainment part of the show.
All right. So, but it's really important to pay attention that as the Magnificent Seven is dropping, as well as the banksters are dropping and things are moving, as well as China. I've talked about China and it falling apart maybe 6 months to a year now, right? Things weren't looking good. Now over the weekend, they finally came out and just said, yeah, we're having negative GDP growth. Hence, literally signaling to the rest of the world, like, hey, we've got to give up the ghost here. And if they're having issues and they're the primary manufacturing core what's the word I want to use? Core
CPI?
manufacturing. No, they are the fundamentals that build the stuff that we need, right? They have a lot of stuff that they create literally and manufacture and then send to the rest of the world and then the rest of the world takes that, uses it, and boom. So the reason I've been for almost 6 months to a year is literally because they've started slowing down back then. And if they were slowing down back then and just been slowly edging to the bottom here, I promise you this will come back to Bitcoin. But I just want you to understand what's happening here. Okay. As the manufacturing industry is slowing down over there, and we're seeing a slowdown in relationship to jobs, we're seeing a slowdown in relationships to um, just the economy at large, that is going to have a ripple effect throughout the rest of it because that means that our economy isn't buying their stuff.
Right.
And if we're not buying their stuff, then that means that our personal businesses here in America is slowing down as well. It's just not being really talked about. And the numbers are not being talked about. Okay. So again, we're watching the Magnificent Seven, which is the primary industry that has been holding up the stock market, i.e. NASDAQ, i.e. S&P 500. And so we've been watching turnaround, and we noticed this because two things. We started talking about Tesla seeing over this past part, it coming dropping down to here. It's down, it's literally lost almost half of its value. And the same thing when it comes to Nvidia. Our primary play here with Nvidia. Remember when we gapped up all the way back in January on the 7th, I said, guys, expected to come down to our 109 area, right? And this is when it was at that 153 area. So I said, I'm expecting it to come down to here. Obviously, we did the pullback for the gap down. But again, it's come and touched our area. But again, it is not looking strong here. And because it's not looking strong, my next position here is now to sit there and see, is it's going to come down to that 91, which again, we drew back in August I think it was August of last year. Come on. Was that August? Yeah. So this is August. And when I saw it coming up here, I said it's got to come back and tap this 400, or at the time the 200 period moving average here. I said it's got to come back and tap this. It did it. It continued up, but now it's coming back down and it's touching this. So I'm really expecting to see that $92 area here as we continue to move forward. Now on the back end as well, as we're seeing this happen, again, we're going to see up and down, but we're going to create, if you follow the 8 period moving average and that 20 period moving average, we will ping pong off of that until we get down to that 400-day period moving average. Again, we're going to see 10% of this market, or 10% of the market here drop. Now let's look at the NASDAQ, because we've talked about how now the Magnificent Seven control and move the NASDAQ. The Magnificent Seven is the top 7 tech stocks. The Nasdaq is the index that follows the tech and medical industry, medical tech as well. So that in itself, we'll see it starting to drop here, which we've talked about. And then as it starts to happen here, from a technical standpoint, from a trading standpoint, this is where I really see a lot of these buyers sitting right here at that 90 area on Nvidia, as well as Google here. We came down and tapped our weekly area here, sold off this morning, right? As we gapped down, came back down. I honestly think we'll probably, at the time, the 400 was more down in this level here. So that's why I put this here. It may hit the 151 to the 147 area. If it does, it'd be a good place to buy. But I was talking with a few other people, and they were talking about the NASDAQ
Sorry, my mic was
drop.
off, Pedro. I want to just interject real quick on that gap down. Was there
Yeah.
news on Google? Or is it just the realization that nobody's using their search anymore because everyone's using Grok and Perplexity and all the great AI searches?
I don't know. I just know from a like technical standpoint where there was a gap down. But the thing is, we hit the weekly 50 period moving average, right? And we closed directly on it. So we closed below, we closed below it right here. And so because of it, then I thought that was primarily because of that. It wasn't able to get strong enough. And so that's why we saw the gap down. But ultimately, I see us coming down to that 151 to the 147 area, purely from a technical standpoint, not a fundamental, not a news source, just simply saying, hey, as we start to continue here. Now, excuse me real quick. Not Tesla, Meta here we're starting to see it come down. Now, I thought Meta would be a stronger play here because their glasses, their AI glasses that they actually are developing,
Pretty cool.
I think, yeah, they're really cool. We talked about that their first round, right? Back here about a year and a half ago. This is when they really started kind of pushing that stuff out. And that's really, I think, what's going to be a major, major play here for them because I think it's going to be stronger than the iPhone. I think they're
Sorry, did you see the video where the two people with Meta glasses are looking at each other, and the Meta glasses, it was like two AIs talking to each other. It just said person with Meta glasses, person with Meta glasses, person with Meta glasses, Meta glasses, Meta glasses.
They're like friends. They're like, oh, it's like
I don't know if it was real or a meme, but it was pretty funny though.
It's like the girls from Southern California when they see each other, they're like, yeah, yay, yay, yay. It's like East Coast girls are like, hey, what's up? How you doing?
How you
Giving
doing?
dabs, right? It's funny is I saw at my church this girl and she was new, and I said, are you from SoCal? And she goes, yeah, how can you tell? And I go, actually, how you kind of greeted people. You're much more gregarious and you're very open.
Does she finish on an up infringement talk? Oh, hi, how you doing? No,
well, not necessarily.
I hate those. I hate all you women out there who finish on an up talk. Go to school and learn how to talk. I can't stand you. I just want to push you off the edge of the cliff and say, be done with you.
But I love all women in whatever voice they want to talk in. I'm here.
Nope.
There
are boundaries, Pedro.
But the reason why I bring this up here, because I think it's super important to look at here. We saw a huge, right? This was back in early 2023. We talked about the lows here and all this stuff that was happening. I said, all right, I expect it to go up, guys. Look at where it's screaming. It wants to move up. As we were seeing, I think it was right here. This was the area that we started talking about. It was last year in January when this happened. And I said, this is a good area to buy. So now I'm seeing this. We're crossing the 8 and 20 here. The 50 period could potentially be a good move, but I really like the 428 area to that 411. And if I were lucky, man, we could see it come down to the 200. But I think it's gonna be a hard miss for it to get through that 100 period moving average as this happens. Because the truth is those glasses they can make calls, they can scan. There are already apps. There's already an app store that is being built for them. It is going to be, and I think they have such a far advancement than any other company out there. I mean, the only people I think that could even remotely catch up to them is X, because they do have so much money. He has so much money coming. He could develop something of that nature, but we're not going to see a real product come out until maybe 2 years, unless they've been developing it along with Meta, just haven't released it. So it's going to be real interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, X is developing everything. Like, oh, we were working on this the past 3 years, and it's like, it's some new device that solves another one of humanity's problems, and you're like, oh, okay, thanks.
Right.
Oh, we cured blindness this week. Oh, all right. Next week, deaf people, no problem.
Yeah. And I'm kind of excited, to tell you the truth, that we're seeing a huge sell-off of Meta, or not Meta, excuse me, with Tesla, because I really wanted to buy down at these levels here, that 150. We could only hope, dude, that we could see it back down to that 80. Remember, I had the area here of that $59 area here. It'd be crazy, dude. I mean, that'd be absolutely nuts. But you potentially could see it, and this is the reason why. And you're like, why are you being so bearish, Paige? I'm not bearish. I'm definitely not bearish. But the reason why is, where did you go? Where are my cues?
Right. It's going to be, if it gets down that low, Pedro, maybe, I bet you before that zone, because someone's going to be talking to Elon about that zone too. And Elon's going to front run everybody and buy back stock. and announced that he's buying 5% more of the company of Tesla back, and the stock's gonna just fly. It was, and
That's kind of
and
what
everyone
happened.
will be like, "Damn it, he front ran us!"
Whether you like him or not, the guy does. He's pretty good at advertising. So let's look at where I think the Nasdaq potentially might be coming to. We talked about the Nasdaq coming down to that $10,000 area. This is in relationship to the S&P 500 that we've talked about it coming down to that 2200 area, right? I said, and potentially 1500. We're starting to see some sell-offs, and I think we're going to see a flash crash. I do. I think we're going to see some major moves, and with what's happening in China and what's happening in Europe and everything that's happening, it's going to be kind of crazy for a lot of people.
Well, you
But
can't go up this high for so long without a decent correction.
well, there's going to be much more than a correction. I mean, the fact
You
is
mean
that
like correction, like take your pants down and get some paddling done, like in 7th grade? Not that I
what?
know what that's like.
I forgot you went to a Catholic school. I was like,
No, I
went to
did not. That was public school.
what?
Public
How
school in
long ago was
Ohio,
it?
man. That was in the
Holy
80s.
crap, dude! You heard it here first, bro. Tom got paddled in high school. Um,
Angelina Miller on Twitch saying, "Hey, I'm sure she's going to pitch us some viewers right now. Go ahead, Angelina, let us have it." Anyway, Pedro, what's up
all
with
right,
the Nasdaq?
all right. So the Nasdaq, we're seeing it kind of starting to see a good sell-off. So I or the S&P 500 right now, as well as the Nasdaq. So we're kind of playing both, right? You can see how they're both very similar to it. We just got below the 50-period moving average. I always say I'm expect us to see this week end up green because we're starting off red, right? Got a nice little area of that $18,000 area here. So I would expect to see us get a little bit of a rebound here. That is a
Doing great,
monthly zone
Angelina
here.
Miller. Let us
So
know
I
what you're
expect us to come
selling.
back down to that 20-period moving average, potentially, and then see it clear back up at a green candle. So, hey, Tom, just letting you know, I have a
Hmm?
bit of a feedback coming in my own
Feedback?
ear. I hear my own voice.
You
All right.
hear your own voice. There you go. I hit the
So,
wrong button.
okay, there we
Sorry
go.
about that.
Oh, you're good. You're good. It's all right. All right, guys. So, with that said, because we're seeing a correlation between Bitcoin and Nasdaq and the S&P 500, I'm expecting to see some major sell-offs in every one of these assets. I think this is going to be more of a flash crash. I think crypto will rebound harder. I mean, better than all the other classes because I think everybody's going to see major sell-offs in crypto, and the fact that the government, I think, would be silly for them not to buy assets at these low levels. And so I think the government will step in, will buy, re why am I saying hypothecate? I don't know why that was about assign income,
Reallocate?
reallocate. That's the word. Reallocate a lot of some of the money that's actually been put into other places and put into crypto. I do expect that type of move because it's such at a low level here that
Well,
it'd be
Pedro,
silly for
quickly,
them.
that ties. I'm not going to be talk about it now, but that ties in with the theme of the day. You know, the crypto meltdown here. Is it the meltdown or time for the launch mode, or more of a meltdown than launch mode? And so, what you're seemingly telling me is like we've got more pain here, but
Yeah.
then the kickback is going to be unbelievable because, as we all know, ladies and gentlemen, when Wall Street pulls that money out of the markets, that's cash monies. Where does it go? It sits around looking for something to do. And so as soon as the market has a little bit of positivity into it, the manager's like, hey, we need to meet our trading, make our trading goals and commissions and all. Let's put it back in the market. And then it rockets up.
Well, I'll tell you where they're putting it. They're putting it in short-term bonds over in
It's true.
Europe because
Oh, in Europe.
Europe right now, yeah, in Europe because, well, one,
That's
uh,
interesting.
the traders are pushing up their bond market. Like, I mean, just saying, if you're going to go to war, we know you're going to need to sell bonds, right, to cover that war. And so, what's going to happen to front run it? They're going to expect interest rates to go up because they're going to need people buying their bonds. So
And
people have been
not
going.
only that, but Europe's been suffering from not being able to have any stable coins because they started this new stupid MiCA law
Like,
that they
yeah,
thought was like, oh, this is going to be great. And but what they it slipped by me, Pedro. It slipped by me, and I didn't notice it. It said that if you're a euro a stable coin that's allowed to trade in Europe, you have to keep something like 85% of your reserves in banks in Europe. Here you are trying to avoid the banking system, and they want you to keep it in banks. And so that's why everyone's like, well, we can't satisfy this thing. Circle's gone around that by associating with a bank in France. And it's just been a complete disaster for that. So they need to have a bond market over there that can support stable coins. And right now, the Euro bond market, or whatever you call it, the bond markets in the old countries, can't. There's just not enough debt out there in Euro-specific bonds. Trust me, Europe's got plenty of debt. It's just not in easily convertible short-term and medium-term bonds that can back stable coins. And not only that, but they're, a lot of their credit isn't, Slovakia's credit isn't as good as the United States. So they do have some issues. So that's good that you mentioned that. It's good to hear that the traders are pushing that. I noted that, and I'm gonna file that away for a future talk.
Absolutely. So that's why we always look at the bonds. That's why we always look, because they're all related. They're all like cousins, right? They're all kissing cousins in a sense, right? Where money flows back and forth in all of them. And so maybe when one goes up, one will go down. But also when one goes down, we're transitioning money into other things. So that's why we look at the market at broad, from me personally, a TA perspective, right? I'm not the best when it comes to understanding the fundamentals. I do listen to a lot of people, but I've read a lot of books. I don't want to claim to be an expert because I'm not. I didn't go to school for it, and I don't know a lot of the internal workings of it. And I'm not going to pretend like I am an expert, but I'm pretty good at looking at TA and the charts and seeing money inflow and outflow in regards to what we're seeing on the charts. So that is where I'll sit there and say, hey, why didn't that go through? What is up with X? Are you having issues with X?
Yeah, X has been down all day in certain regions. I believe it works on your phone, just not on desktop.
Oh, shoot. And I'm about to lose. It's falling apart. I'll be back in a second.
Ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'll turn Pedro off there for a minute. Like I was saying earlier, the theme of the day is: are we at a bottom, or are we ready for launch mode? And if you've been watching this show, and by the way, welcome Nav, the nobody. It's good to have nobody watching us today. Couldn't resist that. If you've been watching our show for a while, Pedro's been calling this market down into the low 70s. One of his reoccurring themes is in the absence of anything else, big fundamental news or something like that, the market's going to come down to retrace to certain levels, and he sussed out certain levels that it was coming down that level. Oh my God, Mayor of Akron is in the house. Good to see you again, my friend. It's been a while since you've commented on the show. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. But anyway, but is this the time? I mean, alts are cracked, right? I mean, alts are having some issues, and for many of you that invested when the market was flying in October, November, and December, you're hurting really bad if you're in alts. Fortunately, I can say I am not. I have a little position in Solana because of another project that I'm working on. But everything else, as many of you know, I have 2 kids in college, and so that eliminates all your extra need for cryptocurrency when you have to pay those types of things. So fortunately, I've been properly utilizing my capital and paying bills, and not bringing it down. So I haven't been hurting that much in this drawdown. But is it the time to get in? Is it the time to get in? I'm not going to make that call right now. In fact, I wouldn't make that call because all of you would say, "Oh, it's time to get in," and then it would go down, and you'd be like, "Striking, it's your fault." But are we near the launch period mode? And frankly, I believe we are. Everybody's been calling Bitcoin up much higher. The market sold off the Donald Trump news of Bitcoin strategic reserve. As I told everybody before that, it was priced into the market. And we even went over it on this show, the multiple avenues that the Bitcoin reserve could take. And if you recall, I was talking about the Bitcoin strategic reserve it had two ways to go. Either they were going to work through Congress and get the appropriations in order to buy Bitcoin, or Trump was going to have to do it in a way that avoided Congress in the short term, and then they'll work Congress later. And he took the way that avoided Congress in the short term. So there was no news. There was no big news. And since the market had already priced this into Bitcoin, there's just a massive sell-off after it. And people saying, all right, there's no other good news in the market. Pedro, what I was doing was kind of talking about how in past shows we've been talking about coming down to these levels. And all it needed was, a good reason to come down to the levels outside of other factors like a meteor striking the Earth or something like that.
But I also want to make sure we understand, like I've been saying, like I'm looking at sellers stepping in. I've been talking about how the sellers are in, that they're looking to drop this market, that it wasn't anything like, it wasn't like all of a sudden, like they were putting in positions before this stuff was actually even happening. So I expected a major sell-off to happen. It just didn't necessarily happen on, like, it's just basically, they're just saying, all right, it's time to drop it.
Which chart is that?
This is the Dixie. This is the dollar.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about Bitcoin.
No, I am talking about Bitcoin. We've talked about how, like,
the dying cats, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, while Pedro's got his chart. Oh, you rejected the call. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So this dollar here, we've talked about these, right here, back here on February 3rd. Like we said, I said, guys, look, expect. And every time we hit a top area here, you could see we saw the sellers come in every single time when we were hitting these topping patterns.
Welcome,
here.
Matt Rhodes, to the house.
What's up, Matty? It's good to see you, brother. Man, dude, my grok is just crap. I can't even.
Yeah, no, you can't do anything with it. It's been like that since about 6 a.m.
Do you know why?
Yeah. Twitter or X announced they have major outages all over.
Oh wow!
And I kept getting Cloudflare notices. I bet you they're having a big someone's attacking them or something.
Oh wow! Well, it makes sense. I mean, look. I mean, we talked about this right here with Tesla, and they don't play nice. Whoever they are, Elon is specifically going after them. Okay, and you can see here that they're coming after him. They're coming after his wealth, the very wealth that he is able to create a moat around himself to protect himself, literally physically. Right, he gets money from all of this. He gets a bunch of cash. I mean, I've talked about multiple times that the man literally brings in, $2 to $3 billion just from cash, right, off of his options. So if they can hurt him enough where he can't have full-time staff, and then they get at him, right? So they're letting him know, you keep going, we're going to keep pressuring this, and so we're gonna see what happens here. We've back was it back in 2022, when he started really kind of going the other way, and I said they're going to come after him if he keeps going this route. They're going to come after him, and then we've talked about this. Everybody knows
there are morons on the internet out there, like respected let me rephrase that, internet respected people out there with big Twitter accounts and getting a lot of their money from their influencer type accounts out there, like actively crazy about seeing Tesla cars on the road. They're like, I want to damage every one of them, and if I see another Cybertruck, I'm gonna throw a rock through the window. I mean, like espousing violence. That's how much this kind of Russian disinformation campaign has worked against this whole thing. And it's strange. It's really strange to see. Everyone always talks about the people from January 6th that did something, but by and large, the Trump people are very just normal, day-to-day nice people. The people that supported the president's right. They go to work, and they're now the working man class and all that.
Yeah.
And the far left has become violent extremists, like calling for people to damage people's cars. Most people bought their Tesla cars long before this new narrative about Elon came out. You know, they're just like, I want an electric car. I want an electric car. I don't want a gas car. But right now, a gas car doesn't suit me. But I'm looking forward to the day when I can have a small little gas car to zip around Chicago in the winter when I can't ride my motorcycle. And I'm looking forward to having an electric motorcycle too. It's going to go so goddamn fast, I'll probably kill myself. And so this new narrative out here, I've been watching it going on, Pedro, and it's crazy. And your comments exactly point to that, of how they're trying to take him down in the market too. And ultimately, they're going to lose, because I wouldn't take on Elon if they brought him a brand new topic that he's never heard about, and I'm the expert at it, the world's expert at it. I wouldn't want to take Elon on it, because he'd sit there and grind through it like, and then be like, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. Here, do it this way, do it, and all of a sudden he's the expert and made $1 billion from it.
Well, it was interesting. I was thinking about this. I said, one of the biggest issues right now with Europe is that America's not in this war, right? I think they're just not in this war, and so there's not a lot of money happening with them. And it was really interesting that Elon Musk has been a major contributor, like basically helping Trump create a moat around himself, right? With what he's doing with Doge and a lot of this stuff. They're taking off a lot of cash away from the money, basically U.S. citizens as piggy banks for a lot of agendas that were being pushed out into the world. And on the back end, I feel like another moat that was put around the U.S. economy was literally because of one, that we decided to put America first and really kind of create jobs here. And I mean, Trump has literally created about 2.5 or 2.3 trillion dollars worth of assets over the next 2 to 3 years that he's trying to bring into America. And then additionally to that, seeing this propagate. And so the reason I'm bringing this up is, if they really want to mess things up, they've got to get either Russia to attack us, almost like how Japan attacked America, right? That brought us into World War II.
That would be a mistake for Russia. Ooh.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think it would be Russia, right? Because but it actually helps Russia to have America out of here and not being in the war.
Absolutely.
And so in doing that, if I'm a strategist, I'm like, look, we've got to get America to come back in. How are we going to do this? Either have an ally of Russia's attack America.
Watch out for that Belarus army.
I don't know. I mean, they have quite a few,
Or Iran.
Iran. It doesn't even matter. What I'm saying is, though, if they could create something where now you have a blatant attack on U.S. borders from a group that is siding with Russia, then America would then have to say, all right, time to arm up, and then again get back into doing this. We did something similar in World War II. We played both ends, and we were able to really help, produce a lot of money. But it's been America saying we don't want to. America's populace has made it very clear we do not want to be in wars. We're tired of funneling. I shouldn't use the word funneling. We're tired of funding the war machine in essence, right? And however you want to see that, whether banks or industries, that's on how you want to see it. But I look at it from a perspective of a charting standpoint. We can make money on this. So
Hold on, I got a point of order there. Pedro, did you use the word America?
Yes. America did.
America! Sorry, I had to lead you into that one. I need a little entertainment there.
Yeah.
That's how we roll, ladies and gentlemen. Even though I'm in Canada right now. In the absence of Crypto Mike, we'll just give it the old. Speaking of, they have a new leader. Pedro, hold on. I got to talk about this. I got to mention this. This happened last night about 400 feet, let me rephrase that, meters that way. Okay?
Okay.
Canada elected a new leader, prime minister, the head dude, the boss, everything. There's 39.5 million people in this country. Guess how many people voted for this guy?
I do not know.
116,000 people. That's it. He's the new leader. That's democracy in action. 116,000 people.
That doesn't even
And not only that, he's not even an elected official. He's just a businessman dude. Used to be governor of the Bank of Canada. And as we all know, Trudeau resigned, ladies and gentlemen. Justin Trudeau said, that's it. I'm out of here. No mas. And so Canada's a parliamentary system. They don't elect people to be the prime minister. They elect parties in their districts, and the party that has the most seats appoints the head dude, one of them, and that's the leader of the party, who goes through a party election. Well, the party election happened right over here last night, and former Bank of Canada and Bank of England governor Mark Carney won, and he is now the Prime Minister of Canada without ever going through a proper election to the general population, without ever really having to campaign. He just they slid him into the spot and had this fake election as more of a promotion
Is he
campaign
just like
thing.
Trudeau?
And no, he's totally opposite. He's already reversed like 5 of Trudeau's environmental policies. Got rid of the carbon tax. He's getting rid of this other thing too. That it's just, he's going to be very practical. So he's going to give the Conservatives a run for their money. But it happened last night here, and just so you know, and people complain in the U.S. about, he didn't win the popular vote. Well, even though Trump did smash the popular vote this time, but most of the time it's like, he's not my president. He didn't win the popular vote, even though they won the Electoral College. That's because it was like, 49.5 to 51.5. And they're like, we got 700,000 more votes, so that guy's not my president, blah, 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 blah. In Canada, most of the population votes for someone else. And yet the guy that gets 33% can be the prime minister. I am Kings. Welcome to the house. Thanks for joining us.
Man. We're getting
Nav the Nobody, our home and native land. True. Okay, I'm not going to sing the Canadian national anthem because I'll blow it.
Yeah.
Although even though I grew up in the States, I grew up listening to it because I used to go to the New York Islanders hockey games. And my dad would get tickets when the Habs, the Canadians, would come into town, and they'd bring a guy named Roger Doucette to sing the Canadian national anthem. Was the greatest national anthem singer of all time. And so I learned from an early age in the 70s what the Canadian national anthem was. And he sang it a lot of times, the French version, because he was a Frenchie. But anyway, sorry for the sidebar there, Pedro, but we had a big event here in Canada last night, and what a disaster. 106,000 people can elect a new prime minister. They just switch it. Like, if the people elect your party, they can just switch a new prime minister out. New guy. New lady, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting is to sit there and see what's actually happening overall with you guys are becoming more conservative versus liberal. And
Liberals, they're just a bunch of, they're so liberal now, it's crazy.
Well, what I think is interesting is that you guys are, like, this is typically what happens. So if you read the book, what is it? The Turning, Turning, Turning. Yes, I got you, Tom. And the idea behind it was, I thought, and again, I'm not for this or against this, but it's just what happens is during a wartime situation, the world gets more conservative. This is typically what happens.
Right.
And so right now we're kind of stepping into a period that we are going to see some financial turmoil. It's just going to, and we've been setting up for it. And so this is what I've talked about, of seeing things kind of drop and seeing things kind of move in a way that is not and some people would call it maybe like the end time. Some people would call it a a cyclic turn where you know, like 400-year period where you just have a new reestablishing. And right now, from a financial standpoint, there's a new system being reestablished called blockchain, and that is going to change just the economic situation around the world. And so, because of that, and there's a new type of gold that's being reestablished, or not reestablished, but established, called BTC. And so, we're in the midst of kind of a full cycle switch. And during that time period, it goes from conservative from the very beginning, and then ultimately it goes all the way through to where it gets to the woke mindset again. So right now we're coming out of the woke mindset into more of a conservative mindset, and then we'll
That's
keep
right,
getting
Nav.
more
Just a
conservative,
short-term prime minister.
and then switch back into an idea of more liberal, more liberal, more liberal. And this typically is over a period of 100-year period. And so we're kind of on the back end of the liberal side into the conservative side as it bleeds into conservatism. Um, with that said, you can trade this though. There's people who trade this, and this is something paying attention to. With that meaning is you see more money being pulled out of a market and put into more establishing of industry. Okay. And then in that industry will increase. So right now we're seeing America trying to lead in this by creating more industry in America. And they're playing it well. I have to admit, they're dropping the dollar, they're dropping crude oil so that American can now really build an income coming in while as we sell our commodity
Mm,
called oil.
That's a
And
good
additionally,
point, Pedro.
oh, what's up? Go ahead.
The dropping that we're seeing all around in everything.
Right.
Everything from Bitcoin to the dollar to even Nasdaq and all that type of stuff. Um, does that make it easier for us to get in the war game?
I told you. Well, we've talked about this. I've hinted at it quite a bit. We've talked about this offline quite a bit. You finally just getting it? Like,
No, but I mean that it's only been. This is my point: is that it's only been 2 months now of a new administration. Can they manipulate, and move the market that fast?
yeah, remember
What's happening?
2000, remember 2000 and 2002? Do we forget? Do we forget 2000 and the reason why I bring that up is right. So we saw the drop in the market. Then at the end, what happened? Remember
Right.
2003? What 9/11?
Oh, war. Right.
Yeah,
We
exactly,
invaded Iraq.
9/11. Yeah, we invaded Iraq. Boom, peak. Then at the end, right? What did we see from 2007 peak to 2009? Right, like again, and then after that, what did we do? We started messing even more with Afghanistan, right? And all that crazy that came along with it. So it's just it's a part of the system, but now it's more of a cyclical system where you have these small 20-year periods that happen. But at the same sense, you also will have like a 20-year, a 50-year, 100-year, which are these small cycles. And if this is something you want to pay attention, if you're interested in, many people know who Ray Dalio is. He wrote a book called Changing World Order. Or he had a video series called Changing World Order. He has another book. He talks about this, but most people aren't going to read the books. It's called Principles. But if you go through and if you go and you watch that video series, you'll see what I'm saying. And these are cycles that you can use to trade. So as we're moving forward, you can play Pedro, a new guy until October elections. New guy until he's the new guy until
Right,
October
the
election.
Canadian dude. They've
Yeah, got
actually called an election. The prime minister resigned, and instead of
have an empty. Yeah,
yeah, they appoint a new
yeah,
guy.
I got you.
Appoint is the key word, even though he was elected by his party.
Yeah, no, I understand. I get it. So, but it's important to understand that these are cycles that you can actually trade, and basically as they manipulate the market you can see it happening. And so we've been talking about now up here when we were talking, and it didn't matter what it was, like they all flowed the same way, right?
You've
I
got
we
internet.
were talking.
Oh, sorry, you had internet computer up there. What do you got now?
Oh yeah, this is BTC. I was going to go over internet computing because again, I still think that AI companies are going to be huge. They're not going away. Any type of data storage that's efficient is going to be needed. Any type of electrical powering that's being developed, and/or any companies that have the ability to create energy or store energy for AI is going to be the smartest thing to play. These are the plays we want to play that I'm looking at. I've been going through and checking out. I've got a few of them that I have on the side right now. A couple small ones, a couple big ones, and just basically trying to see what's happening with them. On the back end, though, as this is happening, we're also going to see a new thing called, and I don't know what the name is, but I'm going to describe it. So when it appears, we'll sit there and be like, "Oh, that's what he was talking about." I see it whereas you see um, stocks as well as crypto start to come. And as they merge, you're going to see this hybrid play where you see a where you buy a stock coin or a coin stock. Kind of similar to what we're seeing with Coinbase stock, but much more blockchain intensive, where you can actually trade back and forth. And so that's really where I'm trying to find what companies can actually do that and are willing to and open in mind. Because as this new system gets developed, I'm looking to really kind of jump start that and see what happens here. So these are the things that I'm looking at. Um, BTC is showing a lot of weakness here
Yeah.
in a good way. And so the part here, and I'm going to point this out. You know how I always talk about where there are shorts, right? Where are the shorts sitting? Where are the long shorting? Where are the stop outs happening, right? And so right now there's a stop out happening right here. Everybody that was long here are now getting stopped out as we speak. And you can see here, literally, and I'm just want to pull this up here. They came down to the bottom here.
For the viewers, what price level is that?
This is going to be this is going to be 78,605 area. And so as this market, and give me 1 second, I want to make sure I did this right. Man, I keep burping in your ear. I'm sorry, guys. Forgive me. I feel rude. Um, the 78, so it's exactly, so they literally brought it down to the lows here, didn't stop people out. So this is definitely an indication that they basically they're basically allowing people to get out of this trade, which is really interesting. But it looks like they're not. You can see here that it came down, people are buying in, which is the silliest thing. So now they're going to stop them out here. When we see this stop out here, we should see a run in the money here. So we'll see it come down here. Boom, drop through. Don't take that trade. Take the pullback to the 8 as the 8 comes along.
Hold
here.
on, I'm short right now, Pedro.
Oh, okay. If you're short now, better.
I've got a whopper of a trade on. I mean, it is just massive. I
We
think,
got
I
like
think,
500 billion.
I think right now I'm in the gains for a whole $2.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Let's go, baby.
You know, for
All right.
ladies and gentlemen, I joke about this, but just so you know, I'm relearning how to do all this after being out of the futures markets
I
for
lost you,
30,
bro. I can't hear you.
30. Hello. Check. 1 2 1 2.
There you are. All righty.
I not up to the modern standards in knowledge for trading, and so Pedro is taking me under his wing, and he's teaching me. And we all have demo accounts in, like, for example, our sponsor here, BidFi. If you join us, uh, following us regularly, you'll notice that we pitch BidFi here. And look at that! Magically, a BidFi ad comes up here on the stream, and you can join by clicking this QR code that's up there. But that has a great demo program here. They have demo trading and lessons and all this type of stuff. And if you join, you can get all kinds of rewards using our referral code. But the important part is that the demo, and I highly suggest everyone try demo trading if you're going to learn to go long and short in the futures markets or crypto markets. It's really important to do that, and I've been doing that. And in the demo markets, it's really teaching me strategies, but it doesn't teach me risk because I can make In the demo markets, I can make $1 million a day. It's so easy. Not because the odds are different. It's because you don't need. It's not your money, right? So it's like you take outsized risks that you would not otherwise do. So what I do is I'm practicing by using lots of little amounts of money in the real market. So it's still my money, you still get liquidated if you screw up, and if you make a mistake, it has immediate effect of losing your own money from your own pocket. So I suggest everyone that listens sign up for an account and do some demo trading, and also to practice use very little amounts. Like me, I have, and I can tell you right now. Let me look at the trade here, Pedro. Well, thankfully Bitcoin has tanked a lot now. Now I'm up $5.50. And if I had, it's only my margin there is I use $35 in margin, so I'm actually doing percentage-wise doing excellent.
There you are. Yeah. Well, also, I tell everybody, make it very clear. Compound interest is a wonderful thing. It will take care of you. Just learn how to trade correctly, small amounts. Get the dopamine hit. Learn actually how to trade. I was talking with a guy this weekend who reached out to me because I went on Shogun's show on Friday. I think it was Friday or something like that, or maybe earlier than that. And then somebody reached out to me and was like, "Hey, I've been just punching myself in the nuts." And he had a lot of personal situations that were happening.
I'm gonna try.
And then don't do it, bro. We've all seen those weird videos of those guys hitting themselves with bricks and stuff.
Hey, my moniker is striking balls, so it's.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah. All right, so on to the next thing. So this guy, basically, long story short, asked him, he's like, "What should I do?" So one of the things I told him, I said, you need to do 3 things. One, you need to go through and write a trade plan. And in that trade plan, what you're going to do is you're going to back test. Okay. So you can get an edge. And then you're going to write down every trade that you back test. Okay. So you back test, then you actually play those back tests. Okay. Then after that, you're writing down everything, what you're noticing. And then from there, what do? Then we test it with current market. Or you can back test it and play and watch how the market moves. And doing that, then you actually hit your trades. Okay, that work. Doesn't matter if you knew what was going to happen. It's actually doing, just like in baseball, they'll sit there and just hit the ball. It's right there. And it's just working on their form, their entry, right? It's, shoulder in, shoulder down, shoulder up, looking down, boom, watching the turn, pivoting off the hip into the calf, swinging through it.
Ooh, I'm ready for baseball season now.
I know, right? It's springtime's up here, right? So we're coming into it. But in the same sense, we can correlate that same thing with trading. Okay. Then after that, then you go to actual market, where I want you to get a small amount. So this is after you've written your trade plan. And now you're going to test it with real money. And in doing that, you then go through and you actually do it. You execute the trade exactly how you wrote it down. And then you basically talk about your feelings, what's going on inside of you, what's actually happening in the market. Okay, this is really important. And you learn how to govern your emotions, because 90% of trading, after you have a small edge, is your emotion. That small edge will increase as long as you can go through and stay cognitively sane in the trade, so that you can write better notes. And just slowly compounding interest and learning just grows and grows and grows. And then before you know it, you've got a good amount of information that correlates with it. It's not like I look like I'm doing like the,
which is my hands.
Yeah, no, I'm like but what I'm trying to say though is this is actually how trading is done. This is how winning in trading is done. And then it just grows and grows. And again, it's a compound interest effect, right? People get rich off of 3 and 4 or 5%, right, with large amounts of money. In the same sense, you can do the same thing, but you've got to have a leveraged base, and that's why you go and you check out our Bitfi account, sign up underneath us, and we appreciate it. But at the same time, also I'm teaching you actually learn how to trade and actually how to go through and like grow as an individual trader. And then sooner or later you'll come like, no, Pedro, that's this, and this. And I'll be like, listen, young pup, I've been in this 20 years. I've literally had guys, like 6 months into it, a year into it, going like, let's go do this is it. And I'm like, no, but you're missing this, and this. And then they said, no, you're no. And I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. Trading is a very simple game. Either it does it or it does. That's it. Like, I always tell everybody, like, listen, you can either do it or you can't. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And so the market does or it doesn't. And so jumping back to BTC here, as this
You ain't first, you're last.
Ricky Bobby, baby, that's what I'm talking about. Ricky Bobby. All right, so now we're seeing this market come down. They're going to stop out everybody most likely here. Once they hit below that 78,617, as this comes down, then we should see it continue down, tapping into that 75 area here. The key point is this, is that as we're moving here, okay, that if they start to consolidate, they consolidate and just mess with you. You need to be mindful. It could spike up, take out that high here to drop it again, because if it starts consolidated, that means there's not enough buyers stepping into the market. Remember, what do buyers do in a down market? They feed the sell positions. If there's not enough sell positions, then we're not going to see the market move. Excuse me. If there's not enough buy position, we're not going to see the market move down, because they need buyers to meet their stuff.
Right. That's a good point to reiterate for everyone listening out there, is that you can't just have all sellers.
Yeah.
If you want the market to go down, you have to have a lot of buyers. Bitcoin's not an automated market machine in which the smart contract will take the other side. Doesn't matter how many. You need Bitcoin as a free market. Right? For everyone that sells a contract, somebody has to buy it. And they need to offer a lower price to buy it at, so the sellers can drive the price down. Yeah, so really, in essence, the buyers drive the price down. I guess that might be a good way to think of it, because they'll accept a lower price for it. And mostly, as we know, when the market moves quickly, the buyers have to accept the lower price because they're getting stopped out. They're getting their short positions, not the short positions. They're long positions, so they're selling. The people buying could also be getting closed out, or they're just saying, I want a lower price, and I want a lower price, and so they'll take lower prices. I don't know where I was going with that, but the point is, there has to be, for every person selling a contract, someone has to buy it.
Mm-hmm. And remember, if it's an automatic market maker, it still has to take the other side. And so what happens is you'll have this type of situation where the market's coming in, they stop all these people out underneath right here. You see this, boom, and then they push it up, right? So they're able to either equalize their position. And this is where I would love to actually talk with Anton Golub in regards, because he was once a market maker. I've never been I just had to analyze.
He's working for an exchange again.
Really?
Yeah. The one he founded, he went back to work for them.
Well, let's sit down and talk, man, because I would love
I just reached out to him yesterday saying, hey,
awesome.
let's talk. Because in fact, I tried to get his attention to actually come on the show today to talk about
really?
the position of the market, but he's totally wrong time zones right now.
Yeah, I totally understand. Yeah, it's night where he's at, right?
Yeah, he's in Dubai.
Afternoon.
It's Dubai. So
Dubai? It's okay. Yeah, definitely. Now, well, we need to sit down and talk. But you can see here at these levels here, like you can see similar where it came down. They're trying to push it down. They can't. They don't have enough sellers. So basically, this would be right here, and so they have to push it up, stop out a bunch of people, and then bring it back down. So be smart, Tom. Don't, like wait if you start to see a pickup in volume, which is what you're seeing with buyers. I thought they were going to bring it down, but it looks like there's not enough sellers or not enough buyers to continue it down. So we'll see what happens. But jumping back to some of the news situations. So there was a new AI that was released from China again called was it not Mesa?
Manus?
Manus, yeah. And I thought I kind of blew it off because I was like, oh, I'll get to it, and then I forgot about it. And then on Sunday night, you know me, I'm starting to comb through like the 30 different news sources I bring in. And as I was going through, I was like, everything's Manus, man. I was like, oh my goodness, one day you walk away from the market, one day. I just wanted one Saturday where it was just me hanging out, not consuming it. And that's when Manus is dropped, bro. Have you heard about this thing?
Yeah, I went on there. I watched the guy's video
Yep.
that talks about it, and
There's now a lot. Videos, good.
and watched their use cases and that type of stuff. And I was immediately skeptical, Pedro. I was immediately skeptical because I got 3 different newsletters of mine all listed Manus as a trending app, like AI app. They're like, this one's hot, 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 hot. And I was like, well, let me go check it out. So I go to check it out, and you can't use it. It's in private beta right now. You need an invite code and all that type of stuff. So how can it be trending if you can't use it? Now, I'll answer that. It's another ploy to show supremacy in something. And when the guy was talking about how he's using it, he used some very specific use cases for these things. And I was coming to think about it, and I'm like, this thing's got to crawl the whole internet to do all this kind of stuff and navigate these things. He was talking about how one use case, I was like, you can't get that information unless you have a subscription. And I'm willing to bet that the people that sell that information via subscriptions don't want a worldwide available AI to have all that at its fingertips. So something's amiss with that one. That's my devil's advocate there. I was a devil's advocate of DeepSync also, or whatever the fuck the thing was. And this one too, it just made me go. And they found the guy to lead the company. It took me a while to realize. At first, I thought he was from San Francisco. Then all of a sudden, he slipped up on his language a little bit, and I'm like, he's Chinese. I don't mean of descent. I mean, he is Chinese in the way he speaks.
He's from China, yeah.
And I was like, something's amiss here. And I'm like, well, how do they do all that in China when you can't get access to the entire free internet? I'm like, I don't. Something's amiss with it. And when I saw it hit me from all these different directions, just like Steve talks about in our AI show, the AI Life. When you market to people, you hit them from many different ways, so they see it reinforced. And that's what happened. Well, it didn't happen to me. I mean, that's what they're doing. And I saw it, and it's talked about how it's trending, and then, but you can't use it. So how can it be trending if you can't use it?
Well, it's just that everybody's talking about
it. That's not what it said. It didn't say trending like on Twitter. Trending topics is like trending apps being used. Trending hottest apps.
This is the reason why. Okay, so I looked into it. I was trying to get it. So what you have to do, you actually have to go to their Discord, and then from there, what you got to do is you got to wait because it's only invite only. Right. And so once you're given an invite code, or they only give, I think, like 6 or 10 a day or something like that. I don't know.
It can't be trending. There's no way it can be trending. It's advertising campaign. That's what it is.
Very much. I don't disagree. But on the back end, you could see a what's the word I want to use? All right.